Hello, this is Scott Richardson, and this recording is for Introductory Criminal Justice. It's an online course at Clovis Community College. In this recording, I'm going to go over the course syllabus. I'll introduce myself, and I'll talk a little bit about navigating the course and the requirements, and give you some hints and tips. First off, a little bit about myself. I've been teaching at CCC since 2011, and I teach sociology and criminal justice courses. I'm originally from Ferndale, Washington, but I've moved around a lot throughout my life. I'm married. I have three adult children, the youngest of whom is in university now. And hobbies, I like gardening and doing some outdoor work, and I have a dog, a German Shepherd. He's getting a bit older now. That's a little bit about me. I'm going to talk about the class. Now, what you're seeing is the student view, and that's what I did is I switched to that on Canvas so that you can get the perspective of what you would see in this course. So first off, let's talk about the syllabus. Now, what you're going to see on step 2 here is a link, a clickable link that will take you to the class syllabus. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and we'll talk a bit about what is required in this class. Okay, let me go back. I've clicked on the wrong link here. So let's go here. Here's the class syllabus. Apologize for that. So let's open the class syllabus. Okay, so I'm not going to go over this entirely, but I'll highlight a few key points. First off, I reply usually within a few hours to your Canvas mail. I have the app on my phone, but instructors at CCC are required to reply in no less than 72 hours. Of course, you can expect a quicker response from me. You can read the course description and the student learning outcomes and so forth. There is no makeup work for this class, so if you miss an assignment, unless you had some urgent or emergency situation that would justify an extension or a makeup, you won't be able to make it up. An example of an emergency or urgent situation would be some sort of a natural disaster that broke your internet, a death in the family, and so on. Now, grading policy, the way that you get points in this class is primarily from written essays. Some of them are smaller and some of them are longer. Now, we have the unit activities. We'll talk about those first. They count for 30% of your grade, and these are short essays that you're going to be writing. They should be at least 3 to 4 complete paragraphs with a clear introduction, body, and conclusion. And I'm looking at the accuracy and correctness of your essays, as well as the writing style to a lesser extent. And I'll be making detailed comments when I grade these. And I am willing to look at rough drafts of anything that you write, although you need to keep in mind that if you give me a lot of things to check an hour before it's due, I may not be available to respond. Assignments are due around midnight in my class, 11:55 or 11:59 p.m. And so obviously I'm not up at that point giving you instant feedback. So if you want feedback, it's a good idea to get me something at least 24 hours before it's due. And you can read more about the activities. Typically there are 4 or 5 questions that you will be answering within those activities. Then we have persuasive essays, and you can read those instructions on Canvas and certainly ask me questions if you have any questions. There's one about the legalization of marijuana, and it requires the use of scholarly sources. Now, let me just be clear. that means you need to get on the CCC library and get sources from one of our databases like ProQuest or EBSCOhost. Internet sources for this purpose will not count as scholarly sources. And when you look at a scholarly research article, here are some key things that you're going to want to consider. What was the research question? What were they trying to find out? What was the topic of analysis? What methods did they use? For example, was it a survey that they conducted? And then what were their conclusions? So in other words, you don't want to just list the source in your bibliography without actually using it. And using it generally means that you're going to explain what it was about and what findings the researcher arrived at. Now, not all of the essays require sources, but when they do, it will be clearly pointed out. Now, just as a general comment here, there's a statement in the syllabus about plagiarism, and it exists on all the assignments. When you copy things from the internet, preferably you shouldn't do that, but if you do, you need to enclose that material inside quotation marks and appropriately identify the source of your quote both within the body of your essay and the bibliography at the end. If you don't do that, it's considered plagiarism and you will get a 0 on that particular essay with no opportunity to make it up. So if there's any confusion about this policy and you maybe don't understand what plagiarism is, please email me or call me and we can discuss it in further detail. Now the final exam is multiple choice, and so it's automatically graded. It counts for 20% of your grade, and you'll have an ample amount of time, 180 minutes to take it. It's closed book and closed notes, and we're now using the Respondus lockdown browser for final exams. This is a custom browser that locks down the testing environment in Canvas. So when you use the browser to access the final exam, you will be unable to print, copy, visit other websites, and so on, and you need to download it in the link listed in the syllabus. Now, keep in mind, the lockdown browser will not work on your phone, and it won't work on many of the Google Chromebooks. So you ideally need a PC or a laptop or an iPad to use the lockdown browser. There's a sample quiz that you can use that I'll be posting on this so that you can check to see if it actually works. And so if you have questions about that, feel free to let me know. Now there will be a weekly discussion board that you will be required to post on, and this counts for 5% of your grade. The first one will be a self-introduction. Now, if you fail to make a comment on a discussion board, then you won't earn any points for that particular week. When you do actually make a post, if your post demonstrates thoughtfulness and some basic understanding of the assigned reading and video, you will get the full points. Now, obviously, you do not want to copy what other people wrote. You should write something yourself and don't copy things from the internet. It should be about 2 paragraphs on your main post, and then a reply could be brief, a sentence or two. So copying other people's material is considered cheating. Now the grading scale at CCC is a straight 60, 70, 80, 90, so that if you have a class where you end up with 90% or higher, you get an A. Between 80 and 89 is a B, and so on. Now, one thing to point out, at the end of the semester, there are always some people who are sort of close to one grade or another. So if, for example, let's say you had 76% and you really wished that you had 80% and get a B, well, I don't round up or I don't give you bonus points. Once the course is done and you end up getting a particular percentage, I plug that in and assign you the grade, and I don't give people special deals because they're close to a C or close to a B and so on. Now, response times. In my regular semester, assignments are due on Friday night, and I always grade on Saturday, and I have them done before 5 p.m. If this is a summer course or it is an 8-week course, then you're going to have assignments due on a Wednesday as well, and possibly other days in the summer. So the general rule is if the assignment is due on a particular night, then the next day I will grade it and provide you feedback. There is no extra credit in this course, and as I said, late work is not accepted, so you want to make sure that you turn in your work when it's due. Now, that's a little bit about the syllabus. I'm going to go look at the course now. So let me close this syllabus. And so what you're going to see at the main page is a link to this audio recording that is done in Screencast-O-Matic. It will be a YouTube video. And on step 2, you're going to have a link to the self-introduction. That will be the first assignment that you'll be doing. And then you have a link to the syllabus, and you have right here, if I click here, this is a real handy thing that I think you ought to look at carefully. Not only that, but the learning modules, but the assignment due dates. That tells you when everything is due. But let's take a look at the learning modules, just so I can familiarize you with what's in there. So these roughly will correspond to weeks, although in a summer class it would be a bit more condensed. And what you're looking at here is all of the modules. So what you're going to see in the modules are learning objectives, what it is that you're supposed to be learning in this particular module, a link to the discussion and the discussion board. And let me just click on one of these so you can see. So here is a discussion, Module 2 discussion. They typically have a picture in it. And so this particular topic is about the death penalty and jury qualification, eligibility to serve on a capital case. And you can read that discussion and post a response. Now you can do this early if you want, and that's okay. In fact, it may be something you want to do, but you don't want to do it late because it will be closed. So let's go back here to the home page, and I'm going to click on learning modules again. So we have instructions for the assignment, and those are going to be essentially the same. So if I click here, it says basically tells you to turn it in Microsoft Word format. It gives you a link to download Office 365 for free if you don't have Microsoft Office, because I don't accept other kinds of documents. It has to be something that I can open and read in Microsoft Word. I mean, in the worst scenario, if you can't get Word, a straight up text document would be sufficient. And if you have questions about what that means and how you make a text document, you can go ahead and email me. I'll explain that, or you could Google it. So you have the assigned reading and why it is that you're reading that. There's an explanation there. And then there will be practice quizzes. These don't count for any points, but they're useful for one thing, just to make sure that the Respondus lockdown browser is working for you. So each module has the assignment, the instructions, the required reading, and a discussion board and a practice quiz, with the exception of week 1, the first module where we have introductions, and then the last one where we have the final exam. So if I go down to the final exam, by the way, this is something you may want to know more about. If I click here, it says, okay, criminal justice final exam, and then as I said, we're doing Proctor U, so you can ignore the part. We're going to be using Respondus lockdown browser, so I'm going to update this. But here is what I was looking at. It says several days prior to taking the final, you should review the following topics. So this is the study guide. It tells you basically what you're supposed to be focusing on within the chapters in the book, and all of the answers to the quiz can be found in the book. So if you're reading the book, you should do well. There's only one exam, formal multiple choice